Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor live on SIFTD.net. If you are getting this real time, it's because you are a Patreon patron or a YouTube subscriber, or you linked your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. If you did any of those things, thank you. Whether you've done any of them or not, anybody can link their Amazon Prime account to Twitch Prime. So please check out the instructions on how to do that in the show description below. And you have to re-up that every month. So if you haven't done it in a while, please re-link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. Shane gets paid for that. Costs you absolutely nothing. It's free to you, included in your Prime membership, but free money for Shane. So it's an easy way to support the show without having to actually be out of pocket. Today's topic is the removal of certain adult-oriented games on the Valve Steam store. And by adult-oriented, I think you're all aware that there is a game ratings agency called the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, ESRB, and they have game ratings that are, E and E10, and I forgot what they call them, T for teen, M for mature, and AO for adults only. Typically, we think of adult content as being adults only. A game like Call of Duty is an M-rated game, with lots of blood and shooting and stuff. Normally, it's like Leisure Suit Larry that gets like the AO because it gets over the top, kind of risque, sexy stuff. And Valve made a statement. We were recently notified that certain games on Steam may violate the rules and standards set forth by our payment processors and their related credit card networks and banks. As a result, we are retiring these games from being sold on Steam Store because loss of payment methods would prevent customers from being able to purchase other titles and game content on Steam. So what's going on is that credit card companies and banks have notified Steam that they don't like these games being available on Steam. I am going to take the community's word for it. I obviously have not played the games that have been removed, and I don't know what the content is of all the games that have been removed. But it sounds like it's gay-themed games have been removed because credit card processors said to do so. So the overarching question is why? Why did credit card companies ban this? I can only think it is pressure from our government. There is nothing in the law that says that we can't play gay-themed games. There is nothing, to protect anyone from. The ESRB ratings tend to do that. It's a self-regulatory environment, but credit card companies typically would never say you can't sell an M-rated or T-rated game to somebody. So the question is this censorship? Well, 100% it's censorship. The credit card companies are telling Valve you can't do it. And what they're saying, and it's pretty draconian, is if you sell a game we don't like, we're going to deny any credit card processing for any game you sell. So even if you're selling, tic-tac-toe, like Scrabble, like the most basic, fun, family-friendly, puzzle game, we won't accept a credit card payment for that because you, Valve, Steam, are in violation of our policies that prohibit, our rules and standards prohibit certain types of games from being sold. And again, it doesn't say in Valve's comment what those games are. It just says certain games may violate the rules and standards set forth by our payment processors and their related card networks and banks. Their vague guideline in the background is that, content that may violate the rules and standards. In particular, we avoid publishing certain kinds of adult-only content. I think what we're getting here is the standard, Trump administration, let's stop any DEI emphasis here on the I part, and the inclusion of people who aren't white, straight, male. Why would the credit card company do this? I can only surmise that the government is putting pressure on the credit card company. I expect if that's right, this is going to become a scandal. I think we're going to hear about it, and we're going to find out exactly which credit card companies.
This episode of Pachter Factor is brought to you by DeShazer Ryan Realty. It's time to find out why everyone is buying homes in Montana. Right now, Doug DeShazer has a beautiful single-level home with a triple-car garage available in the best neighborhood in Libby, Montana. This custom 3-bed, 2.5-bath home has a 500 square foot patio for entertaining. It's built to last with solid wood core doors, Anderson windows, an asphalt driveway, central AC and heat, and a private well to run its sprinkler system. The price was recently reduced, and owner financing is available with 20% down. No matter where you're looking to buy in the US, Doug DeShazer is licensed to help. Make him your real estate consultant at 406-291-1643. That's Doug DeShazer at 406-291-1643, or go to LibbyMontanaRealestate.com.
I do think that if consumers are upset about this, instead of boycotting Valve or Steam, or instead of making comments about how Steam did this, find out who the credit card companies are and expose them. Find out which credit card companies. But the sad thing is that Valve is backing down. They are pulling content from the Steam store because the credit card companies have said so. I don't blame them. I don't think they're in a position to buck the credit card companies. I blame the credit card companies. And again, I think it's important that Valve expose these people, let us know which credit cards, encourage their consumers to lobby the credit card companies to get the content that they want on Steam. I don't know if lack of availability on Steam means you can't get these titles, because PC games technically can be downloaded directly from the store. It would be great if Valve would do the altruistic thing and list all the titles and say no longer for sale, but here's a link to the direct web store for the company so you can buy it from them. At least help these guys out to sell their games. But again, this is censorship 100%. The open question that I can't answer, I can guess, is whether this is what's called state action. And you're all aware of the First Amendment. We have a right to say anything we want and to publish anything that we want, including sexual-oriented content, which is why we have an adults-only rating in movies and games. We aren't allowed to publish things that show a crime being committed, like murder or child pornography or rape, something like that. So obviously there are limits to what free speech will allow, as long as it doesn't contain actual harm to anyone and you're not breaking any law. It has to be allowed by the government. It does not have to be allowed by the individual institution. So a particular website could take down sexual content. Twitter could, they don't, but they could. Facebook could and does. They could just say, look, we want to keep the site safe. Roblox could and does. We want to keep the site safe for our average user, and so we want to make sure the average user on Roblox is under 18, so they're too young to be exposed to adults only content, and so they don't want that on the site. They're allowed to do that. Well, who's not allowed to do it is the state. And the state consists of any government. So the state could be the city, the county, your actual state, California, New York, Arkansas, or the federal government. And so I think what will be interesting to learn is the federal government telling banks, you can't do this, or are they merely suggesting, wink, 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 so that it's not state action? I suspect the latter. The way that we've seen the Trump administration enforce DEI is they'll tell a university, you can do whatever you want, but if you encourage, speech in favor of Palestine, which the U.S. government doesn't like, then we will cut off federal funding to you. They're allowed to do that. It's a violation of free speech rights, but it's probably not illegal because they're not required to give private universities money. And so again, it's one of those things that you're seeing this kind of across the board with the Trump administration. Speech they don't like is being discouraged, and so that's the whole, whisking the foreign-born, people at universities who are advocating in favor of Palestinian rights, Gaza rights. Those people have been disappeared. You've seen a couple of them, and that was illegal. The government has been found to have violated free speech rights, but that's government action snatching them off the street. It's impossible for me to prove that the government told the credit card companies to get this content off of Steam, but the fact that the credit card companies, more than one, did it suggests to me that there is a government agency somewhere who is suggesting to credit card companies they not honor these types of transactions. And there's an analog to this. Gambling online, poker sites, credit card companies won't process payments to gambling sites. Cannabis depositories in states where it's legal, like California, credit card companies won't allow you to charge a purchase, even though it's fully legal in California, because they're afraid of violating federal law, which I completely understand. And so that is a bank taking it upon themselves to say you can't do it because we don't know what will happen if we allow something that's federally illegal, even though it's allowed in California. It's the same idea, but here it sounds like it's the administration putting pressure. And again, it really seems odd that it's, gay content on Steam. Steam does probably somewhere around 10 billion a year in sales. I would imagine the gay content piece of that is at most 1%. It's got to be tiny. So it strikes me as a really odd place for the government to get itself involved. But I do think that's what's going on. I just can't back up the allegation by saying I know for sure that the content is gay themed. That's what I'm seeing on Reddit and commentary, but I don't know. Have not played any of the games that were taken off. I'm taking the complainant's word that that's right. I have no reason to question that they're telling the truth. Of course, I think they are. This is similar to what we're seeing with school books. School libraries are being told to ban books that the government doesn't like, and almost to a book, those are either something to do with racial inclusion, Black history or something, or gay inclusion, my two dads. And again, it's censorship by the government, pure and simple. And the government's been doing it in schools. You should have access to anything you want to read if you are of a certain age, but they're pulling critical race theory books out of universities. Why? It just makes no sense at all. It's likely the government's involved, but I can't prove it. And I say that because why now all of a sudden in the first year of Trump's second term did Valve decide to pull these games from Steam? It probably is a change in the political environment. It's entirely appropriate to pressure Steam to give up the names of the credit card processors who insisted on removing these games. Those are the guys you should boycott. So it'd be interesting to see. And if it is B of A or Chase, those are the two biggest credit card processors, then jump on them and say, we're going to boycott B of A. We're pulling all our money out. We won't borrow for cars from you anymore. Screw you. We're not going to use your credit cards. I don't think it's those guys. Find out. It's important to find out, because I agree a credit card company should not be deciding what you can and cannot do with your money. If you want to buy a game that has, lesbian or gay theme, that's your business. Enjoy. Have fun. Should you be angry about this? Yes. I mean, why are you getting less choice because a credit card processor decided so? That's not right. You should have all the choice in the world to do whatever you want to do with your hard-earned money and your spare time. So I'm on your side on this one. Hassle Valve, Steam, and find out who the credit card companies are, and then boycott those guys. And those guys will, if they're big, if it's B of A, they'll change right away. It's a great question. Why would a credit card company do this? The easy answer is somebody in the government told them to. We need to find that smoking gun before we complain to government. If you are a Patreon patron, thank you. If you are a YouTube subscriber, thank you. If you are either of those or not, it's important that you remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. There are instructions on how to do that in the show description below. It's about 3 clicks. You have to redo this every month. So if you haven't done it in a while, please relink. That causes Amazon to pay Shane. It keeps the show on the air. If you do it, it's free to you. It costs Amazon. You've already paid for it. So use your Amazon Prime membership and stick it to them. Make them pay Shane. Get some value out of that. That helps Shane out. Thanks very much for joining us on Pachter Factor Live on SIFTD.net. Fellow babies, until next week, Pachter out.